Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine playing a game where an AI isn't just a character, but the creative force behind the entire world, improvising the story and challenges as you go.
Right, like the person running a tabletop role-playing game, but as a machine.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive today into exactly that concept, the Game Master Machine, and looking at a specific technology from Google DeepMind called Concordia that's, well, bringing this vision closer to reality.
Mm.
Our mission for this deep dive is to understand what a game master machine is, how Concordia uses ideas from games and AI to build one, and, what it means for simulating complex social interactions.
That's a fascinating idea, isn't it? The concept of an AI taking on that comprehensive game master role
Yeah.
is a big leap from traditional game AI.
That's
Well, instead of just scripting limited behaviors or triggering preset events, a GM machine aims to direct the entire interactive experience, adapting in real time. It's directly inspired by those human GMs in games like Dungeons and Dragons, who, improvise narratives, respond dynamically to unexpected player actions, and maintain the internal consistency of the game world.
So the AI wouldn't just pick from a list of outcomes, it would potentially create new ones on the spot based on what you do.
Precisely. The vision is an AI capable of generating dynamic storylines, understanding and reacting meaningfully to complex choices made by players or other AI characters in the simulation,
Oh, okay.
keeping the simulated world believable and consistent, and allowing entirely novel narratives to emerge that weren't planned or predicted by the developers.
What makes that capability significant? I mean, what doors does it open?
The potential is quite profound. Beyond just highly personalized entertainment with infinite replayability, these systems could create incredibly adaptive learning environments that tailor themselves uniquely to each student's actions and progress. And for researchers, particularly in fields like computational social science, it offers a powerful new testbed to model and study complex social systems in ways we couldn't before.
And you mentioned large language models are key here.
Yes, LLMs are really the enabling technology. They provide the AI with the natural language understanding and generation necessary for these rich, dynamic interactions.
Right. AI has been involved in games for a while, though. How did we get from simpler game AI to this ambitious GM machine concept?
You're right, there's definitely a history here. It started with simpler text adventures, where you'd type commands and the computer would react based on predefined rules.
I don't remember those.
Yeah. But the rise of powerful generative AI, especially LLMs, dramatically changed the landscape. Systems like AI Dungeon, for instance, used LLMs to generate incredibly open-ended, text-based worlds.
Where you could type almost anything.
Pretty much. You could describe almost any action, and the AI would attempt to generate a plausible response. Some even integrated AI-generated images.
So that was a shift from picking preset actions to essentially describing any action.
Exactly. And then you saw systems trying to replicate the structure of tabletop games more closely. Some recognized that pure LLM generation, while creative, could sometimes become, well, inconsistent or nonsensical.
Ah,
So projects like Master of Lore integrated additional software layers alongside the AI to enforce rules and maintain story coherence. More recent work, including projects aiming for real-time rulings in response to player actions, even in 3D environments, continues to grapple with that core tension.
which is?
How to allow for boundless improvisation while keeping the world believable and the narrative coherent.
So the evolution shows a clear desire for AI to be a true co-storyteller, but maintaining logic in a dynamic world is the persistent challenge.
Yes, that's a fundamental hurdle. This progression highlights the move towards AI that can genuinely co-create stories dynamically, not just navigate branches in a pre-written script. But it absolutely brings challenges around maintaining long-term narrative consistency, ensuring the world's rules are followed, and frankly, managing the sheer complexity and computational cost of these advanced generative models.
That makes a lot of sense. For an AI to really step into that game master role effectively, what are the non-negotiable capabilities it needs? What does it have to do well?
To function as an effective AI GM, several core requirements stand out. First, it needs strong dynamic storytelling capabilities, the ability to create new plot points, characters, and events on the fly, weaving them into the ongoing narrative based on the agent's actions.
So it should feel like the story is genuinely evolving, not just pulling from a preset bag of tricks.
Right. Second, it needs meaningful player or agent interaction. It must be able to understand complex inputs expressed in natural language, interpret the intent behind those actions, and respond appropriately within the simulation's context and rules, ideally in real time.
Okay, understanding and reacting.
And third, and this is crucial, is world coherence and consistency. The AI GM has to maintain a believable game world, remembering established facts, character states, and rules, and ensuring actions have logical consequences.
That consistency requirement seems tricky when you're trying to be wildly creative at the same time. How do you balance that creative freedom with the need for rules?
That's the inherent tension, yeah. Unfettered generation from LLMs can easily lead to incoherent or contradictory results. That's why many advanced systems combine generative AI with structured methods or rule engines.
Ah, so it's a hybrid approach.
Sort of. It's about blending the creativity of the language model with a framework that enforces logic and consistency. The AI needs to do more than just generate text. That text must accurately reflect and advance the state of a consistent world.
Given those requirements and challenges, what are the main roadblocks preventing us from having perfect AI GMs right now?
Well, even with rapid progress, significant challenges remain. Maintaining long-term narrative coherence and avoiding plot holes across extended interactions is very difficult for highly generative systems.
I can see that.
LLMs themselves can be prone to repetition, struggle with understanding very detailed or complex inputs, and they don't inherently grasp abstract human concepts like what makes something fun or fair or dramatically satisfying.
Right, they don't feel the story.
Exactly. Making the AI adaptable and robust enough to handle any conceivable player input without breaking the simulation's rules or narrative is also a massive challenge.
And I assume running these complex systems isn't cheap or easy?
Computationally, it can be very expensive. Running powerful LLMs for every agent interaction in a large dynamic simulation requires significant processing power. Beyond the technical hurdles, there are also user experience design challenges. How do you onboard players accustomed to linear games into a truly open-ended improvisational experience? How do you manage potential information overload if every AI character in the world is a sophisticated, autonomous entity?
Okay, that paints a clear picture of the landscape and the difficulties. Where does Google DeepMind's Concordia framework fit into this? How is it trying to tackle these challenges?
This is where Concordia comes in. It's presented as a significant step specifically designed to tackle many of these issues and build systems that behave more like a game master machine. Concordia is a library for building generative agent-based models, or JPMs.
JPM?
Yeah, generative agent-based models. They're focused on simulating interactions between AI agents. Its primary goal is to enable language-mediated simulations, meaning the AI agents communicate and interact with each other and their environment primarily using natural language like English.
And its design is explicitly modeled after that tabletop GM concept you mentioned earlier.
Yes, that's a key differentiator. Its core design principle is built explicitly around the interaction pattern of tabletop role-playing games, featuring a central game master entity.
Interesting.
This approach leverages the power of LLMs to give agents richer cognitive abilities than traditional simulation models, but within a framework that provides structure and narrative direction.
Tell me more about that central game master in Concordia. What exactly does it do?
The game master in Concordia is a pivotal component, conceptualized as a special agent responsible for simulating and describing the environment. Just like a human GM, it narrates events to the agents and describes the state of the world.
Okay.
A core function is natural language adjudication. Agents propose actions in natural language like I try to persuade the guard or I search the room for clues,
Right.
and the GM interprets these descriptions. It then determines the outcome based on the simulation's underlying rules and logic and describes what happened back to the agents, again in natural language.
So it's translating actions from language into simulation results and back into language.
Exactly. It also performs plausibility checking, ensuring proposed actions make sense within the simulated world's physics and rules. And critically, it manages the state of the simulation through what are called grounded variables.
Grounded variables. Why are those important alongside the language interaction? What exactly does that mean?
They are absolutely vital, especially for using these simulations in research. They bridge the gap between the fluid, abstract language interactions and the concrete, measurable state of the simulation. These are specific variables like an agent's health score, their precise location, or how much money they possess.
Okay, like stats on a character sheet, almost.
Sort of, yeah. The GM tracks changes to these grounded variables based on the actions it adjudicates. For instance, if an agent proposes to buy food, the GM would check the agent's money-grounded variable, adjudicate the action based on the cost, update the money variable, and then narrate the outcome, like, you successfully bought the food, your money decreases. This ensures actions have verifiable consequences and comply with constraints, making the simulation results rigorous and suitable for scientific analysis. So the GM in Concordia isn't just narrating, it's also acting as the fundamental rule enforcer and state manager, blending LLM flexibility with structural integrity.
And you mentioned generative agent-based modeling, the GBMs. How are the agents themselves structured within Concordia?
Right. In Concordia's GBM framework, you have the generative environment model, the GM, and then the generative agents operating within it. Concordia agents are designed with a flexible architecture that allows them to combine the broad capabilities of LLMs with a kind of associative memory system.
What does combining LLMs with memory enable the agents to do?
Well, it allows them to leverage the common sense reasoning and vast semantic knowledge inherent in LLMs. They can understand prompts and generate responses in natural language, but the associative memory lets them store and retrieve past experiences, observations, and thoughts.
Ah, so they learn or remember things.
Essentially, yes. It means their actions aren't just based on the immediate prompt or environment description. They can be informed by their history in developing understanding. This leads to a form of situated cognition, where agent behavior is influenced by their individual past experiences, making them feel more like persistent characters.
Makes sense.
The specific capabilities of the agents are, of course, heavily influenced by the quality and nature of the underlying LLM used, and the framework allows for significant customization of agent personalities, goals, and cognitive processes.
So with the GM narrating and the agents acting and talking using LLMs and memory, it sounds like Concordia is inherently built for creating stories. Is it considered a narrative framework?
Absolutely. Concordia's design naturally positions it as a sophisticated narrative framework. The GM's role as interpreter and narrator is fundamental to this. It takes the agent's proposed actions, interprets them within the simulation, determines the outcome, and describes the result back to the agents in natural language, often as a narrative event or observation. Natural language is literally the medium through which the simulation unfolds, and the story is told.
So the story emerges directly from the dynamic linguistic interaction between the agents and the GM.
Precisely. This focus on natural language enables the simulation of complex social behaviors that rely heavily on communication and interpretation, like negotiation, persuasion, or even deception.
Things that are hard to model otherwise.
Very much so. The interactions between autonomous agents mediated by the GM naturally lead to emergent narratives, unexpected, unique storylines that arise organically from the agent's collective decisions and the environment's reactions.
And the GM keeps it believable.
Exactly. The GM's grounding mechanisms, those plausibility checks and grounded variables we talked about, help ensure that even these emergent events maintain coherence and fit within the simulation's established rules. It balances creative freedom with narrative believability. There's even exploration into techniques like genre steering, which involves guiding agents towards a specific narrative theme. This isn't about scripting, really. It's more like setting high-level constraints or nudges that influence the collective behavior and decisions of the agents, encouraging the emergent story to align with a particular genre or plot type.
That's fascinating. This capability to generate narrative and simulate language-based interactions seems directly applicable to social science. How does Concordia power AI-directed social simulation?
Right, so social simulation uses computational models, often AI, to analyze social systems and behaviors. The goals are significant. Understanding how interactions between individuals scale up to larger social patterns, testing social theories in controlled digital environments, exploring potential impacts of policies, or even modeling the spread of information.
Big goals.
Definitely. Concordia's GBM approach, with LLM-powered agents interacting via natural language, allows for simulations with a much richer degree of cognitive and behavioral realism compared to older, more abstract models.
And the narrative output makes the complex simulation results easier for us to understand.
Exactly. The narrative elements are crucial for interpretability. The story helps researchers understand the agent's behaviors, motivations, and the sequence of events in a human-readable format. The simulation outputs are qualitatively richer because we see actions, reactions, and sometimes even explicit rationales articulated through language.
I see.
This makes Concordia particularly well-suited for modeling complex social phenomena that are deeply rooted in language and interpretation, such as cooperation, conflict, negotiation, or even the dynamics of belief formation and the spread of misinformation. Simulating a complex social scenario like a community negotiation or a market interaction becomes much more realistic when the agents can actually talk through their decisions.
That versatility sounds powerful. What specific applications are being explored or are already using Concordia?
The range of applications is quite diverse. It's being used in social science research to simulate specific scenarios, like modeling political dynamics in a small community or the interactions within a small business environment.
Okay.
It can be applied in social psychology experiments, allowing researchers to test hypotheses about human interaction using sophisticated AI agents. It helps explore questions in AI ethics by setting up simulations with agents who have competing goals and observing their cooperative or competitive behaviors.
That's interesting, using AI to study AI ethics.
It is. It can also be used to evaluate digital services or explore policy impacts by simulating how large numbers of AI users might interact with an app or navigate a complex online system, essentially creating digital twins of social interactions around technology.
So using these realistic agents to stress test social systems or technologies.
Precisely. And these simulations can also generate large amounts of rich synthetic data, which can then be used for further analysis or even training other AI systems. These applications benefit immensely from Concordia's ability to create nuanced interactions grounded in specific contexts, and the narrative output makes the often complex results of these simulations much more dynamic and understandable to researchers.
Bringing it all together, how well does Concordia actually embody that vision of a game master machine we started with?
I'd say Concordia makes a very significant step towards that vision. It incorporates the core elements: a central AI orchestrator, the GM, that interprets actions and narrates the world, generative AI agents that drive emergent stories through their language-based interactions, and a mechanism, those grounded variables, to root the simulation in a consistent, verifiable reality. Its strengths lie in its flexibility, the expressive power of natural language interactions, the fluency provided by LLMs, the ability to simulate diverse social contexts, and its utility as a platform for research into complex agent behavior and cooperative intelligence.
It sounds impressive, but I'm sure there are limitations and areas for future work. What are the current hurdles and where is this technology heading?
Absolutely, it's cutting edge, which
Right.
means limitations exist. Scaling these simulations up to very large numbers of agents or extremely complex environments is computationally expensive. That's a big one.
Right. Cost.
And while LLMs provide fluency, they also bring challenges around potential biases, the risk of generating harmful content if not carefully controlled, and the inherent black box nature of some models, which can make it hard to fully understand why an agent or the GM made a specific decision.
And ensuring the simulations are truly representative of real-world behavior must be a challenge.
Validating that these rich simulations accurately reflect complex real-world social dynamics is a significant and ongoing research challenge. The narrative richness is great for understanding what happened, but you need rigorous methods to confirm why it happened and whether it mirrors human behavior under similar conditions.
That makes sense.
Also, achieving truly sophisticated narrative arcs, deep, consistent character development, or fine-grained authorial control solely through emergent means is still difficult. The future likely involves further blending emergent processes with more explicit forms of narrative planning or control at a meta level,
So more human guidance, maybe.
perhaps, or more sophisticated AI techniques for shaping the narrative. Developing agents with richer emotional models and expanding applications into areas like serious games for training, advanced educational tools, and even simulations where people interact directly with sophisticated AI models of themselves or social systems seems probable.
Wow.
And of course, navigating the ethical landscape as these systems become more powerful at modeling human behavior is also paramount.
So what does all this mean? Concordia represents a powerful step towards creating AI systems that can dynamically orchestrate complex interactive worlds and simulate intricate social dynamics. By combining ideas from tabletop games with advanced generative AI, it allows for exploring narratives that emerge naturally from agent interactions and modeling social phenomena with a new level of richness and interpretability.
That sums it up well.
This has transformative potential for research, creating deeply engaging entertainment, and providing us with novel tools to understand the complex social realities we inhabit. This raises an important question, though. As AI becomes increasingly capable of simulating social interaction and generating complex narratives, what new avenues for understanding ourselves and our societies does this open up, and how must we ensure these powerful tools are developed and used responsibly to explore the issues that matter most?
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.